What's up, you guys? It's your boy Ragozin, and here today we got something special. This is gonna be our first video for the new channel, Ragozin Reviews. Like, I remember back then, I liked doing reviews, my other channel, Brian the Bold, but those were pretty iffy. But then I started back, doing some more reviews, in my my other channel, Ragozin. But I was like, you know what? I want to split it, like I want to keep them separately, just in case, just in case. But anyways, I digress. We're here with the first video, and today we'll be reviewing the Bandai Blockade Runner and Millennium Falcon. Now, as you can see right here, the scales are 1 out of 1,000 for the Blockade Runner, and for the Millennium Falcon, we have 1 out of 350. So here you have the front picture of the box, the pretty promotional picture. You got the Blockade Runner, which I assume is the Tantive 4, and you got the Millennium Falcon, the episode 4 version. Well, episodes, versions 4 through 5, maybe 6, technically. I mean, like, episode 6 is where they lose the dish right here, but let's go for the 3. Here on the sides, we got more pictures of the Blockade Runner and Millennium Falcon, and then you have more pictures on the sides, and of course, more pictures on the side as well over here. When I first opened this box, I was kind of expecting a little bit more, but when I opened it, I was a little underwhelmed by, what was offered here. I mean, for $20, I guess it's alright, but let me show you, like, what to expect here. So here's the manual, right, for both the Millennium Falcon and the Blockade Runner. And look at this. This might be overwhelming. Here we go. Oh my god! It's only 1 page.
Wow, dude, that's pretty insane!
But honestly, this is actually pretty good for me because it's less of a time-consuming kind of deal. Pretty easy stuff. The only thing that I'm going to have a problem with is the stickers. If there's one thing you need to know about me if you're going to continue watching my content, is that I abhor stickers. As a kid, I always hated having to put on stickers on my Lego sets, and now it's being the nightmare is following me literally everywhere. So now I have to put these son of a bitches back on the model kits, or I could actually paint the sucker, which is, I don't know, they're both equally complicated. I feel like painting it is a little easier, but I don't have the hand for it, so I might stick with stickers. I'm not 100% sure, but there's one thing for sure is I'm going to paint this. I think, kind of a gray kind of deal for both the Millennium Falcon and the Blockade Runner, but hopefully I get the right shade of gray here. But I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do a little time-lapse here kind of deal. Of just building the set. Maybe I'll be talking about during the thing, but no, we'll see. But here we go. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to kind of explain myself and my story kind of sense. I'm Ragozin. This isn't the first time I'm making videos. I've been making videos for like, 2, 3, maybe 4 years now. I started around when I was, 15 or something. First channel was Brian the Bold, and then now I've transitioned to Ragozin. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make a second channel. So I've already explained this, basically in the beginning. But let's talk about when I started making model kits, or when I started building them. So as a young kid, I started building model kits. Model kits is more like a model kit, and it was really one of those really simple ones, so you didn't have to really do that much building, kind of like what I'm doing right now. Basically, all you had to do was screw in some tires, and boom, there you go, kid, model kit. And I was like, yeah, I can do it again. And so, but unfortunately, due to some events and undesirable events, I was like, you know what? I don't want to do this shit anymore. This is kind of hard. So for the longest of time, I never really touched a model kit again. I never attempted to do it until recently. Until like last year. Pretty sure last year. Last year or the other last year. Who knows? I don't remember. But I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's finally do it. Because I realized that Bandai was making Star Wars model kits. And I was like, I'm gonna get 2. So I got 2. I got the Y-Wing and the AT-ST, the big versions, not the teeny tiny ones that they come out with. Look nice, but I prefer the big versions. Anyways, I built the AT-ST. That was technically my very first model kit that I actually enjoyed building a lot. That was like the realistic one, the real deal model kit. And I was scared that I was gonna break something, but you know what? I didn't break anything. Everything went well. Even the paint went well. Like, I looked up some videos for the paint job, and it was fantastic. It was wonderful. It worked in my way, The only issue with the AT-ST is, like, I think it's a little too white. not enough gray, but I can probably fix that later on in existence. But it went really well. Y-Wing, another story. Literally, like, every time I had anxiety building that shit, alright? Like, the details to it, the small details of tiny little plastic things, every time I tried putting them in the fucking hole, they always, like, bent and always jumped out. Sometimes it didn't break, and I was like, holy shit, oh, it didn't break, oh, thank God. But then later on, I was like, oh, it actually snapped in half. Oh, well, that's broken. So, it took me a while to actually, like, get myself to finally do it, and finally got it. Thankfully, I didn't break anything important, you know, anything major. It was only the small details. But ever since, I've started building more model kits, and right now I have like a lot of model kits on my shelf, so it's really fun. And if you want to get into model kits, I absolutely say go ahead. You know, there are different kinds of model kits that you want to go for. These are the snap-ons. You don't need glue for those. I'd say if you're starting off, get the ones that don't require glue, because I don't know when I'm gonna do the glue ones, but I don't know, we'll see. But that's basically my story, you know, that's all how I started with the model kits, basically. I enjoy doing them, I honestly do, so I've been meaning to do more reviews about this kind of stuff, but alright, so here are my thoughts about the model kit. They're pretty easy to build. The Millennium Falcon, I think, was the only one that gave me a little trouble, because at first I was like, okay, I'll put this piece right here. And in fact, it wasn't there. And I'm not going to blame the instructions. It was just me not paying attention. And plus, if you look at it, it's common sense. But for those of you who are more, who are veterans at this, you probably won't have any trouble with this. You can probably finish this faster than I could ever. But, you know, each one, they took me around, what, like 20 minutes to build? Really not that difficult. But here's the fun part, though. I'm gonna have to paint these suckers, so here we go. Let's paint these suckers. Alright, I'm gonna take some time to talk about the paint situation here. So basically what I'm doing here is doing a kind of a style in this sense. I don't know exactly, it's called like the black and white effect. When I built the ATST, the guy who was making it, he said, use the black and white effect because it looks nice. It makes the details pop out. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. And it actually worked out. Like, I was afraid I was going to screw it up the first time, but then after a couple of tries, not even a couple of tries, like my first try, I was like, it looked pretty nice to an extent. Like I said before, it was a little too much, it was too white. It was too white for me instead of gray. So I was like, whatever. But, you know, trial and error again, and, you know, I feel like I'm doing a pretty good job. So basically, what I'm doing here is painting it black, and then again, I'm painting it, paint some parts of it white, and then going back and painting the base color, and then later on I would go for the details. And again, I'll tell you again, I fucking hate painting the details because I am fucking autistic when it comes to painting details. So here's the Blockade runner with the paint that I wanted for the body. It wasn't really that difficult to make. I thought it would be, but it really wasn't. All I needed to do was I mixed a little bit of flat white with sky gray and just a tad bit of yellow. It just, you know, it says on the instructions that, you know, it's a small dosage of yellow, and so I thought, you know, maybe just a tiny bit. So I was a little too conservative with it, but you don't want to overdo it or it's just gonna look really nasty. But overall, I think the paint job was pretty good. So what I basically did again is I spray painted it black, and then I went over and I got some flat white, and I went and got some details with it, as in like I spray painted like to make it look like it's wear and tear, all that good stuff on the metal. And then I went back and I sprayed the entire model with the light gray. So here's the Millennium Falcon. I wasn't originally going to use the same color as I did with the Blockade runner, but at the time my airbrush wasn't working properly, so I didn't want to go back and forth and cleaning it, because you have to make sure that sucker's clean or else it ain't working. So I just got, you know, frustrated and was like, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and spray paint the Millennium Falcon as I did with the Blockade runner, and it looks nice. You know, it doesn't look bad. If I wanted to go for, if there was time to do it, then I think I would have gone for a little bit more darker gray. But I feel like the color is fine. But really, all I have to do now is just go back with the details on it. And same thing with the Blockade runner. And voila, here's the finished product for the Blockade Runner and Millennium Falcon. I was actually really surprised how well I did with the Blockade Runner. I mean, sure, it still kind of looks like shit, but it's better than the Millennium Falcon. But I'm really proud of it. I'm really proud of how the base color turned out and how kind of decently I did with the decals. When I actually looked at it, I was like, it doesn't look that bad, so I should be fine. But Millennium Falcon, whole different story. You got other paints going around. It's all fucky and wicky, all that shit. So you got the red splotches here and there. I mean, I'll give myself some credit. It's okay. But overall, I could have done a better job. Maybe later on, I'll learn. I completely forgot that I had this little box thing that has, that kind of acts like a studio, but it's so miniature it's completely useless. But in this sort of situation, it kind of works out. But I wanted just to give my thoughts again of the overall finished product of the model kits. Let's first start off with the Blockade Runner. So I'm gonna, give you my gripes first, because there's not a lot of them. But I feel like, since there's a little bit, I might as well use that first. So, the size. I am not a big fan of small model kits. The only reason why I got this kit was because of the Blockade Runner, When I first heard it was going to be released, I thought it was going to be bigger, because when I saw the video where someone was like recording it at a convention, it seemed bigger. But unfortunately, this is not the case, because the scale again is 1 out of 1,000. And I don't know, it's a little too small for me. I would personally prefer it if it were a bigger scale of the Blockade Runner. I can't give you specific numbers, because I can probably I can give you a number right now that's gonna be too ridiculous. You're gonna be in the comment section and be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Who's an idiot? But hey, I still like the kit itself. It has a lot of nice things to it, like the details to it. I like this kind of stuff right here, the overall sculpt of it. Everything looks nice. Even the small details to it as well, because if you look under the model kit of the Blockade Runner, you can actually see escape pods down there, and some of them have been released, which I really like a lot. Like, that's attention to detail right there, and I really appreciate that kind of stuff. Painting wise, when it comes to detail, I mean, I am not the best. I'm definitely not going to blame the model kit for my lack of, skill to the paint the decals needed to actually make it look good, or even put stickers on decals, or on the model kit. For me, that's still one of those learning curves that I still need to figure out. But I'd say I really do like the model kit. I just wish it was a little bigger, just a little bigger, and I'd be fine. Building it was simple enough. I felt like the weakest part of it that, there could be a possibility of breaking were the guns, but the guns were easy to install. This part right here, the antenna or the satellite dish, that was pretty easy to put on, but maybe someone will have difficulties putting it on. But the biggest issue right here is the engines. The engines are 3 parts, basically, and if you're not careful when you're trying to put this part right here, as you can see, there's a little crease right there. Probably need to fix that later. This part right here, the part on top of here, and of course basically the same part but on the other side. If you're not careful, then I can definitely see someone breaking it. And I was thankfully enough, I realized, hey, I can't put a lot of pressure, but if you're careful, I'm pretty sure you'll be fine. Alright, here's the deal with the Millennium Falcon. There's a big difference between the Millennium Falcon and the Blockade Runner. With the Millennium Falcon, you can easily get a bigger model of this sucker. You can get the Super Deluxe Edition that's like massive and requires a lot of time to build. Obviously, very expensive, but this is, for what it is, still nice. I still like the build. This one was actually pretty difficult to set up, because not due to the instructions not being clear, it was just me mistaking some steps, especially when it comes to the behind building it, or behind here in that sort of sense. This part right here in the back here, close to the engines, that part was pretty a little confusing for me. It's not the instructions fault, that was my fault. It was really common sense as well. Like, it kind of hit me once I was a little bit more advanced with the building part. I was like, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense. But the overall sculpture and build of the model kit for the Millennium Falcon, I like it a lot. I really do. They did a lot of nice things with the details and such, but again, really, you can't really expect bad things from Bandai, except for like really weak plastic. You know, like, ugh. If you've seen one of my videos about the Bandai Genoshin Battle Droid, you will see how weak plastic can be when it comes to like making it so thin. Well, thankfully this was not the case. But I will warn you though that there are thin pieces that can easily break. I thankfully didn't have any issues with that. But just keep in mind though, if you're going to get a bigger size Millennium Falcon, a bigger scale, that's probably going to be the issue. Maybe. I don't know. I don't have one. I haven't built one. I can't really, talk. But let's talk about the paint and the just the overall decals. I know what you're thinking, and I know what you're going to say. Rogozin, has to be the shittiest paint job that I've ever seen. Look, alright? I can do the base paint. I can do that shit. I got that shit down. But when it comes to painting those fucking small details, especially on fucking small model kits, that's the issue. My hand shakes like a bitch, alright? Like, I can't keep my hand steady. What I have to do is I have to take my brush, this small brush right here, right? I have to take this and put it on my chin while I'm painting so I can keep the sucker steady. If I don't do that, it's gonna go everywhere. And it still looks like I didn't do that, and I went everywhere. But I tried my best, and I tried to get some decals there. It's just a nightmare, Some people were like, this is easy, Rogozin. This shouldn't be difficult for you. Like, trust me, it's pretty difficult. But again, good build. Painting was pretty simple. I like the paint, alright? Like, I didn't talk about this with the Blockade runner, but let me go ahead and talk about it. The paint was nice. I was fine. Like, I was scared, like, I was going to screw that up. Because I didn't want to make it too gray, and nor did I want to keep it in the base color that it already was. In a sense that, not in the original color, but like the original plastic of the color. Because it didn't look good. It didn't look good at all. Obviously, that goes for probably every model kit, but, I guess some varies. But, I was thankful to get the right amount of yellow in that gray mixture of flat gray, flat white and sky gray. Because at first I put just a tiny bit of yellow and it didn't really work out. I was like, fuck, I'm gonna have to go a little bit more. So I just put a tiny bit more and that was enough. So thankfully I was able to do it and got the color correctly, or at least the color that I liked. But the Millennium Falcon needed it to be a little gray, a little bit more darker gray, but still, I still think it looks nice. With the color that was supposed to be only for the Blockade runner, I still think it looks nice. Like details and such, looks pretty nifty. I like it a lot. Let's check the back side here. Again, really, really nice sculpture. Very easy build. So if you want to shell out $20 for this set, I'd say go for it, honestly. Like, the Blockade runner for me is very iconic of a ship. So I guess, yeah, go for it, definitely. It's very easy. It took me around, 20 minutes to build? The Millennium Falcon took me a little longer to build because there were some pieces in there that were just a little bit too complicated for me. Not because, again, of the instructions, but just on me in general. But yeah, the Millennium Falcon took me a little longer to build. And the Blockade runner, easy to build enough. $20, 20 minutes of your time. Well, combining both, 40 minutes. It really isn't that bad. I guess people out there, spend like hours upon hours building model kits, which isn't wrong. I'm just not prepared for that. But I'd say this set was good for what it is, definitely. But that's really all I had to say for this model kit. If I had to rate it, to give it like a number, I'd say I'd give it a 3.5 out of 5, for sure. But that's basically all I said about this Bandai model kit here. They always make good stuff, so you can always expect great things from Bandai. So thanks again, guys, for watching the very first video of this channel. If you liked it, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe for more content. I don't just do reviews on model kits. I will also be reviewing the Black Series and whatever I get, try to make it as entertaining as possible. But thanks again, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.